The 5.7 is the first pistol you unlock in Black Ops 2 as soon as you unlock Creator Class. It is a semi-automatic weapon, but the fire rate cap is beyond how fast most people can pull the trigger. It is best suited to flanking due to its fast handling characteristics. It is not very good at range, since the damage drops off quickly as the range you are taking on enemies increases. When using the 5.7, avoid long sightlines. Even most submachine guns are better at medium range than the 5.7, but you have more than a fair chance in close quarter combat, since you can get 2-hit kills at very close range. When you maneuver the map, think ahead and use the routes either not commonly used or that offer many chances of encountering an enemy at close up. Compared to the iron sights, the reflex sight doesn't offer many advantages. The view on the target is a bit more clear, but the visual recoil of the 5.7 will take away that advantage as soon as you start shooting. Since the 5.7 isn't an automatic weapon, the fire rate is usually slower. This means that hipfire is less reliable and the laser sight doesn't do much to improve that. True, it can be very powerful. At times you can even shoot enemies at medium range in a few shots, but at other times you can be very close to enemies and miss every shot, even though your aim was good. The long barrel increases the range of the 5.7. This can come in handy should you accidentally run into an enemy at medium range, but most of the time you will still lose the engagement. In the engagements you should be focusing on, namely close range engagements, the long barrel doesn't help at all. FMJ increases the penetration and damage against score streaks of the 5.7. Whilst using it I didn't notice much of a difference. Fast mag isn't really necessary on the 5.7 as reload times are already very short. The 5.7 has a large magazine, so you can reload when it is safe, and thus don't need a fast mag attachment. The knife attachment is a powerful addition to the 5.7. The time it takes to recover from using a knife is greatly reduced, so the penalty of missing is reduced. But using the knife attachment means that most of the time you should be using the knife rather than shooting enemies, since you're close to them anyway. Thus, if you intend to use the 5.7, the knife attachment doesn't do you much good. When you use dual wield, you cannot use any other attachments. It reduces the effective range of the 5.7 even further and introduces a random factor similar to using the laser sight attachment. At very close range you can kill in one shot from each 5.7, so essentially the 5.7 becomes a very close range shotgun. It is fun to use, but not the best attachment by far for the 5.7. When you take on multiple enemies, which is fairly likely if you flank, you will often run out of ammunition. Extended clip reduces the chance of that happening and lets you worry less about missing a few shots. The suppressor is a near necessity if you are close to enemies, as without it you will often alert the rest of the team by shooting one of them. It also serves to confuse enemies, as they won't have a clear indication of where you are shooting from. The class setup is focused around making it easier to flank. Lightweight increases the movement speed, which has two advantages. Firstly, you can flank faster, and secondly, it is much more effective to strafe enemies, which is often key to winning close gunfights. Ghost will prevent an enemy UAV from uncovering your flanking move. Toughness is important in gunfights when enemies are shooting back, since the flinch caused by the impact of enemy bullets can easily cause you to miss your target. Dexterity brings up the 5.7 faster after sprinting, which lets you sprint without having to worry about being caught off guard. With the tactical insertion you can define your spawn point. Since I recently prestiged, I didn't have the tactical insertion unlocked, so I don't have any footage for it. Set it up near where you think the enemies are spawning. Should you die, you won't have to make the long path from your spawn to theirs again, and often you can surprise enemies that assume you've been dealt with. But if you even suspect that an enemy is watching your tactical insertion, be sure to cancel it. So there you go, that is the class setup I recommend for the 5.7. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time.